Povetkin obviously has massively close links with Matchroom now, and I think he's obviously, what is he, 40, 41, something like that. It's like he's, whatever, for whatever reason, whether it's probably financially, sort of now seems quite happy of playing the role of like Matchroom away fighter, underdog type of fighter, like not underdog, but like he's happy to come over. He's fought Price, he's fought Hughie Fury, he's fought Michael Hunter in Saudi Arabia, he's now fought Dillian White. He's, if this is like a financial move to see the rest of his days out, and he's happy being that sort of, how do I word it? Not gatekeeper, but sort of opponent for hire. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, that's I said last
night.
Like,
more than happy to do that. Like, if
he's a gatekeeper to the elite level, like at a very, very high level. If you've got aspirations, and I said this in the build-up as well regarding White, like if he's got aspirations or the belief that he's going to challenge Fury and Joshua, who for me are the two that are above everybody else. You can argue who's better of those two, blah blah blah. I'm not getting to that one, otherwise we'll be here all night.
Christ,
like if you beat Povetkin, then you're like, right, well, you know, you've proved that you could potentially be at that level, and I think obviously White didn't. So then it's like, well, actually, like, who else does he face? What else is out there for him? If he's, again, got those genuine aspirations of getting to that world level, he obviously thinks he is and he should be there. And you can argue he won more rounds than Povetkin, but ultimately that's irrelevant with how the fight ended. It's like, it doesn't matter what's gone on before then, does it really?
I think there was a point in Povetkin's career where he was the project. He was fighting in Russia. He was what the money was behind. He was, he was like a hell of a heavy, probably the second best heavyweight on the planet behind Klitschko at one point. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. I mean, he's only lost to Klitschko and obviously Joshua, and I think a lot of people, a lot of the I don't want to say the Matchroom fans, but a lot of boxing fans who are familiar with Povetkin will only know him from beating David Price, beating Hughie Fury, losing to Joshua, and obviously like a lackluster performance on the Joshua undercard against Michael Hunter. So from that point of view, and to be honest, that's what a lot of what I based like my prediction for this fight on, because I thought, well, like, is White getting him at a good time here? He hasn't looked like great recently. He'll be a good name on his record, like potentially the best name on White's record, argue Joseph Parker, but he'll be up there is the point. And like, is it that case of he's just getting him at the right time? And 4 rounds in, thought, yep, all the boxes ticked. He's a good name. He's a good level opponent. But again, ultimately, White's proved too sharp for him. He's timed this perfectly, and then
that's it. Perfectly. You can't understand. You can understand why people have looked at it that way, and I was guilty of doing that myself, thinking, he's in his 40s. He looked pretty old the last time against Hunter. He sort of, as I mentioned before, it's not all about Povetkin and being in Russia now and all that. He took that mentality of like, have gloves, will travel, doesn't mind coming over here. Obviously got that sort of arrangement with Matchroom. Do you know what I mean? Like,
he has, but in the same vein, like apart from the Joshua fight, like he was a comfortable favourite against David Price. Like he's coming in as the away fighter, but he'd been this like a favourite for Hughie Fury. I think the odds would have been a bit closer for that. But like,
but a few years ago, it would have been unthinkable for you to have thought Povetkin's coming over to England to fight Hughie Fury. Do you know what I mean? Or wherever it was.
I totally agree.
He's gone down this different direction in his career, and maybe that was, to see him into his 40s and a bit more money and stuff, but he's still a hell of a fighter, and like, maybe people were guilty of overlooking him, I guess.
I definitely was. I fully admit that. Like,
I thought he looked a bit old.
What he had left.
I didn't think he looked great against Hunter last time out, and and he can still look a bit flat-footed in there, and he can look a bit old in there, and he was obviously blown, come back to his corner. He'd been on the deck twice. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I just thought, oh God, like you said, White's going to be the sort of bigger, stronger, like quicker, hungrier type of fighter, and that was all set up, like you said, to. But then that's the danger. Do you know what I mean? That is the danger of which gets you sort of back onto the commentary thing about like going into a fight with like a narrative that's already been preset and predetermined in your mind. You know what I mean? And I think that was sort of evident with Sky's commentary last night a bit as well. Like, but like you say, like, and that's also leads on to the bit about like mandatories and Dillian beating all this and who's going to fight Fury and all that. And it's like, sometimes boxing can just throw a massive fork in the road and another cliche, spanner in the works. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, who now they've got this opportunity to go again, and like, you know, it wasn't meant to, like Frank Smith put a tweet out before saying it wasn't meant to end like this, and I probably wasn't for most people who had an investment or an involvement with White. But then sometimes boxing can throw these things up where you can get a dance partner who suits you, and you can have these fights, and you think, well, bloody hell, that was good. That, like, let's go again. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes your career doesn't always just going to lead that maybe it's that way that Dillian White wants, and if for whatever reason, then, you know, him and Povetkin are good together in a ring and fireworks happen and whatever, then go again. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always work that way, that happily ever after Dillian wins, fights the WBC, great, everyone's happy. It's just like, if that's the direction your career will go in due to circumstances and stuff, then why not?